What's up, it's Robert from Existence First. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what does it mean to be positive. We've all had those days where we write down a whole bunch of things that we intend to accomplish. I should actually not use the word intend, because if we really intended, we would get them done. A whole list of things that we desire, that's a better word, desire to accomplish in a day. But if you were to really do the math, those things would take more than 24 hours, and yet we put them inside of a 24-hour day. And so someone might say, well, I'm positive, I'm optimistic, I really aim high. I shoot for the moon because if I miss it, I land in the stars. But how is it not a miscalculation? I mean, if you hire somebody to redo your entire kitchen, they tell you it's going to take 3 weeks and it ends up taking 6 weeks, then it really, again, is not a matter of, oh, they were positive, they were ambitious, they expected the best. It's a matter of miscalculation and not being realistic. And I think this points to a larger phenomenon to be aware of, which is there's a percentage of our mental activity, I guess, our day-to-day, that is spent doing, like executing, making things happen. And there's another percentage spent narrating, storytelling, thinking about. This morning I wrote down that I wanted to have showered by 7 o'clock. Well, what do you think happened? 7:15 came around and I hadn't showered yet. And that's the moment when that narrating voice starts to speak up and intrude on our day and starts to say things like, oh, you're behind, I got to catch up. Well, now I'm going to be late for blah, blah, blah. And I've said this for years. I've said it in my podcast, Enter the Mind. Our internal dialogue was learned from someone else's external dialogue. In other words, if I'm telling myself, oh, I'm behind, I need to catch up, that means at one point I heard somebody else say that, not to themselves, but out loud. It's really amazing how much we learn through social modeling. Yesterday I was teaching a private skateboarding lesson for these 2 young boys. One of them was just running side to side, so much energy, not in a focused way, but in a very unfocused way. So I said, hey, come here. I sat down with him and we practiced a breathing technique of 3 seconds inhale, 5 seconds exhale. So then we continue on with our lesson. We do 10, 15 minutes, whatever, of drills. Then while I'm working with one of the kids, I noticed the other one walked far away, and I'm like, where did this guy go? That little 4-year-old, he went off to the side, sat down by himself, started going like this, meditating. The parent was like, I'd never seen this before. I don't know what he's doing. I said, we were doing breathing techniques like 10 minutes ago. That's where he got it from. So we learn a lot from the people around us, especially when we were younger. And if you don't like some of the habits that you have, that you've learned over the years, it kind of might be a little bit depressing to think about, oh, I've learned all of this from my environment and I could be farther in life, blah, blah, blah. But once again, are you taking action on it or are you telling stories? So the right response would be to ask ourselves, okay, what new habit do I want to learn? What new habit have I been wanting to develop? And then today, go after that. Another aspect of positivity, or what people think of as positivity, is this concept of the glass half full or half empty. We think that positivity is done in the filtering and whether we see something as a positive event or a negative event. While there's some truth to that, I'm more concerned about whether my perception is accurate versus optimistic. See, the optimism is not the goal. It's a byproduct of proper living, which is focusing on opportunities, focusing on that action portion and limiting the storytelling. See, because the optimism, when done wrong, is a form of the storytelling. Oh, you know, this is a setback, but this is God challenging me, or whatever. If you don't believe in God, then it's the universe challenging me, which I'm not against that thought. That's a very empowering thought. But the thought is like turning the keys in the car and turning it on. That's the first sliver of the trip. But then the rest is you driving. But if you're afraid to drive, if you're afraid to take action and start pushing out into the world, then What happens is you turn the car on, you say, this is my chance to shine. Then you turn it back off. You go to another person in your life and you tell them, this is God testing me. You turn it back off again. Then you go to a third person in your life and you say, this is my comeback. And you turn it off again. So you're perpetually just storytelling and not taking any action. So to come back to numbers and measurements, the question I would ask ourselves is, what percentage of my mental energy is action taking and what percentage is storytelling? You know, when I had on my podcast Bob Doyle, the law of attraction expert from The Secret, I said, how do you know, Bob, when your students are succeeding, when they're crossing that finish line? And he said, they stop telling their old stories. So here's the homework for today. Look at your to-do list, look at what you desired to accomplish in your day, and switch out desire for what are you going to do today. And instead write down things that you have a good strategy for accomplishing today. If you write down, oh, I'm going to go for a run today, but it's too cold outside, you don't have running clothes, you don't have running shoes, it's not a good strategy, there's no strategy. And try to bring more numbers in. If you say, oh, I'm going to finally clean the house today, how long is that going to take? How much labor is it? And would you need more than one person? And then what's your current percentage of action taking versus storytelling? Are you at 30% action, 40%, 50, 60? Put in the comments what you think your current percentage is, or maybe if you've made improvements, what did it used to be and what is it now? So thank you all for watching. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe, share it with friends, and until next time, think deeply and put your existence first.